Captain Haeyun watched calmly as the UES Thunderchild moved into position among the alien vessels at the Galactic Exhibition. Her dark eyes reflected the colorful lights from the command console as she stood tall in her blue uniform. This was humanity's moment to shine, and she felt both pride and nervousness. "Status report," she said to her crew. First Officer Minho looked up from his station. "All systems normal, Captain. We're receiving transmission requests from 27 different diplomatic channels." Haeyun nodded. "Put the main council feed on the view screen." The large screen showed hundreds of alien faces watching the human ship with expressions ranging from curiosity to alarm. The Thunderchild was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before, where alien vessels followed clean, uniform designs refined over thousands of years. The human flagship looked like a puzzle made of different pieces somehow working perfectly together. "They're staring at us like we're some kind of strange animal," said Communications Officer Sunmai, adjusting her headset. "That's exactly what we are to them," Haeyun replied. "Humanity has only been part of galactic society for 20 years. Most of these species have been in space for thousands." The Thunderchild continued its approach to the designated exhibition area. Its hull combined elements from a dozen alien technologies that humans had studied, adapted, and improved upon in ways the original inventors never imagined. Solar panels gleamed alongside fusion reactors. Gravity plating borrowed from the Arcturus Union worked with propulsion systems inspired by Centauri designs. "Captain, the Council Overseer is requesting to speak with you directly," Sunmai announced. Haeyun straightened her uniform. On screen, the face of Overseer Graal appeared, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of stress in his species. "Captain Haeyun of Earth," he said, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into human language. "Your vessel is unexpected. The Council was informed Earth would present a ship following standard galactic design principles." Haeyun smiled politely. "Overseer Graal, we humans have great respect for galactic traditions, but innovation is in our nature. The Thunderchild represents the best of human creativity combined with the knowledge we've gained from our galactic neighbors. But the power readings we're detecting," Graal's voice trailed off, "they exceed safety parameters established by the Council 10,000 years ago." "I assure you, our ship is perfectly safe," Haeyun said. "Humans have always pushed boundaries. It's how we survived on Earth, and how we'll contribute to galactic society." As they spoke, Engineer Du-hyun was monitoring the ship's systems. He approached the captain and whispered, "The Vespidian delegation is scanning our engine core. Should I activate shields?" "No," Haeyun replied quietly. "Let them look. They won't understand what they're seeing anyway." The Vespidians were known as the galaxy's premier military power. Their ships, with their distinctive pointed shapes resembling the stinging insects they evolved from, had dominated space for centuries. Their admiral, Tuck, was visible on a secondary screen, his antenna twitching with what humans had learned was irritation. "Captain," said Tactical Officer Jaiho, "the Vespidian flagship is moving closer than protocol allows." Haeyun nodded. "It seems we've made an impression." She turned back to the main screen where Overseer Graal was still watching. "Overseer, with your permission, I'd like to demonstrate some of Thunderchild's capabilities during the exhibition." The alien hesitated. "What kind of capabilities?" "Nothing alarming," Haeyun assured him. "Just a small demonstration of how human innovation can benefit the galaxy." As she spoke, Science Officer Taiwan activated a series of systems. The lights across the Thunderchild dimmed momentarily. Then the hull began to glow with soft blue light. The energy field spread outward, creating a beautiful display that illuminated nearby ships. "This is our harmonic field technology," Haeyun explained. "It can neutralize radiation, protect against space debris, and even help stabilize damaged vessels." The council members watched in amazement as the energy field touched their ships without interfering with their systems. It was beautiful, harmless, and completely beyond their technological understanding. Admiral Tuck's voice suddenly cut through the communications. "This display changes nothing, human. Your species is still too young to deserve a place among the great powers." Heyoon met his challenge with calm eyes. "The galaxy is billions of years old, Admiral. Even the oldest among us are young in comparison. Perhaps there's room for all of us to learn from each other." As the Thunderchild completed its positioning, the crew could sense the change their arrival had created. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. They had arrived not as students but as innovators, ready to change everything. Admiral Tuck paced the bridge of his ship, the Eternal Sting. His segmented exoskeleton clicked with each step. The six-limbed Vespidian commander could not hide his anger as he watched the screens showing the human ship. 80 years. He hissed to his second-in-command. "For 80 years our vessel has been champion of the galactic fleet. And now these mammals think they can impress the Council with their light show." The crew of the Eternal Sting kept their distance. When Admiral Tuck was angry, it was safer to stay quiet. The Admiral's reputation stretched across 17 star systems. Under his command, the Vespidian Imperium had expanded its territory and influence significantly. "Bring up the human captain again," Tuck ordered. The screen flickered to show Captain Heyoon speaking with various council representatives. The human vessel was receiving more attention than any other ship at the exhibition. Even the ancient Quarians, who rarely showed interest in newer species, had sent delegates to examine the Thunderchild. 6 centuries of Vespidian military dominance, and these humans have been in space for less than a century, Tuck muttered. "This cannot stand." He straightened his ceremonial armor and adjusted his rank pins. "Open a channel to the council chamber. Make it public." His communications officer hesitated. "Public, Admiral." "Did I stutter? Public. Let the entire exhibition hear." The officer quickly complied, and soon Admiral Tuck's face appeared on screens throughout the exhibition space. Conversation stopped as aliens of all species turned to watch. "Captain Heyoon of Earth," Tuck's voice boomed. "Your vessel has created quite a spectacle today." On the Thunderchild's bridge, Heyoon turned toward the incoming transmission. Her crew tensed at the Vespidian Admiral's tone. "Admiral Tuck," she replied calmly. "The Thunderchild is honored to participate in this gathering of galactic civilizations." "Honor?" Tuck clicked his mandibles. "True honor is earned through challenge and victory, not through pretty lights and untested technology." The council chamber grew quiet. Even Overseer Grell seemed uncertain how to intervene. "I formally invoke the trial of 7 scenarios," Tuck announced. Gasps echoed through the council chamber. The trial was an ancient tradition, rarely used in modern times. It consisted of 7 different challenges designed to test ships and crews to their limits. The Eternal Sting challenges the Thunderchild to prove its worth before the galaxy, Tuck continued. Unless, of course, the humans prefer to remain untested and merely decorative. On the Thunderchild, First Officer Minho leaned close to Heyoon. "Captain, we should consult with Earth Command before responding." Before Heyoon could reply, an urgent message came through from the human diplomatic team. Ambassador Jin appeared on a private channel. "Captain, do not accept this challenge," Jin warned. "The trial of 7 scenarios has rules and protocols dating back thousands of years. The Vespidians have mastered every aspect of it. If we lose, Earth's standing in the galactic community could be severely damaged." "And if we decline?" Heyoon asked quietly. "We'll be seen as cowards," Jin admitted. "But that's better than confirmed incompetence." Heyoon considered this as she watched Admiral Tuck waiting for her response. The Vespidian's confidence was clear. His ship had won every challenge for the past 80 years. The Eternal Sting was larger than the Thunderchild, with weapons systems refined over centuries. The diplomatic consequences of failure would be significant, Ambassador Jin added. Many worlds might reconsider their treaties with Earth. Heyoon turned to her crew. Each face showed determination mixed with concern. "What do you think?" she asked them. Chief Engineer Du Hyun spoke first. "The Thunderchild wasn't built for show, Captain. Every system was designed to work." Tactical Officer Jai-ho nodded. "The Vespidians are formidable, but they've grown predictable. I studied their previous trial performances." Hae-yoon made her decision. She straightened her uniform and turned back to the public channel where Admiral Tuck was waiting. "The UES Thunderchild accepts your challenge, Admiral," she said clearly. "We look forward to the trial of 7 scenarios." The council chamber erupted in excited conversation. The Vespidian admiral seemed momentarily surprised before regaining his composure. "Very well," he said. "The trial will begin tomorrow at first light. I hope your ship is as capable as you believe it to be." When the transmission ended, Ambassador Jin immediately called again. "Captain, do you understand what you've done? The political risks. Let them see what humans can do when pushed." Hae-yoon interrupted. "We didn't come this far to hide our capabilities." As word spread throughout the exhibition about the coming trial, the crew of the Thunderchild began preparations. They knew the challenges ahead would test not just their ship but humanity's place among the stars. 3 challenges had passed, and the Thunderchild had lost each one. Admiral Tuck stood proudly on his bridge, mandibles clicking in satisfaction as the scores were displayed for all the galaxy to see. As expected, he told his crew, "The human vessel shows interesting design, but lacks refinement. Their defeat is inevitable." On the Thunderchild, the mood was serious but not defeated. Captain Hae-yoon gathered her senior officers in the strategy room. Holograms showed replays of their previous performances. "We've learned what we needed to learn," she said calmly. "The Vespidians rely on traditional approaches. They've mastered them, but they rarely innovate." Chief Engineer Du Hyun nodded. "Their ship is powerful but predictable. Each maneuver follows textbook patterns." "Which brings us to the 4th challenge," Hae-yoon said. "The Asteroid Field Navigation Test." The Asteroid Field Challenge was famous throughout the galaxy. Ships had to navigate through a dense field of spinning rocks while hitting specific targets. Most captains approached it with caution and precision, following established safe routes. "Traditional navigation won't beat the Vespidians," Tactical Officer Jai-ho pointed out. "They'd perfected the standard approach." Hae-yoon smiled. "Then we won't use the standard approach." When the 2 ships took their positions at the edge of the asteroid field, spectator vessels gathered at safe distances. The council judges announced the rules. Navigate through the field, hit 7 targets, and exit within the time limit. The Eternal Sting launched first, gliding smoothly between the massive rocks. Its movements were elegant and precise, the result of centuries of refinement. The Vespidian vessel hit each target cleanly and emerged from the field with an excellent time. "Beat that, humans," Admiral Tuck transmitted. When the Thunderchild's turn came, the human vessel did something unexpected. Instead of entering slowly, it accelerated directly toward the largest asteroid. "What are they doing?" gasped Overseer Grull from the judge's platform. At the last moment, the Thunderchild skimmed the asteroid's surface, using its gravity to slingshot toward the first target. The maneuver cut nearly a minute from their time. Inside the Thunderchild, the crew worked with intense focus. Navigation Officer Sunbae called out asteroid positions, while Jai-ho calculated firing solutions for the targets. "Conventional thrusters only give us 70% efficiency here," Hae-yoon said. "Du Hyun, activate the pulse drive." The engineer looked surprised. The pulse drive? In an asteroid field? Just small bursts, precisely timed. The Thunderchild suddenly released a controlled series of nuclear micropulses, creating momentary explosions that pushed the ship in new directions. The vessel danced between asteroids in ways that seemed to defy physics. "This is impossible," Admiral Tuck shouted as he watched. "No ship can change direction that quickly." But the Thunderchild did, hitting targets with remarkable accuracy, while using gravitational forces to gain speed rather than lose it. The human vessel completed the course with a time nearly 30% faster than the Eternal Sting. The fifth challenge was a rescue operation. Ships had to retrieve survivors, actually sensor drones, from a simulated disaster area filled with radiation, debris, and unstable energy fields. The Eternal Sting approached methodically, using shield bubbles to protect its rescue shuttles. It was a proven technique that had worked for centuries. The Thunderchild, however, deployed something new. Small, heavily shielded rescue pods that could withstand conditions that would destroy conventional vessels. Earth experiences natural disasters regularly. Hae-Yoon explained to the amazed council observers. These pods were designed to function in volcanic eruptions, tsunami zones, and during nuclear incidents. The human rescue system retrieved survivors from zones the Vespidians couldn't safely enter. By the end, the Thunderchild had rescued twice as many survivors in half the time. By the sixth challenge, a complex communications test through a nebula field, the dynamic had shifted. The Vespidian crew no longer looked confident, while the humans approached each test with growing assurance. When the Thunderchild used Earth radio technology, considered primitive by galactic standards, to cut through interference that blocked quantum communications, Admiral Tuck slammed his claw against his control panel. "They're breaking all the rules," he hissed. "Not breaking, Admiral," Overseer Growl corrected. "The humans are simply finding solutions no one else considered. There's nothing in the regulations against using old technology if it works better." As the scores were updated, the Thunderchild had pulled ahead for the first time. 3 wins to 3 losses. The final challenge would determine the winner. Back on the human vessel, Captain Hae-Yoon looked at her tired but determined crew. "One more challenge," she said. "The combat simulation." "The Vespidians have never lost a combat trial," Jai-Ho reminded her. Hae-Yoon nodded. "Then they've never faced humans before." The combat arena glowed with boundary markers as hundreds of spectator ships hovered at safe distances. The final challenge had drawn the largest audience in the history of the Galactic Exhibition. Ships from every known civilization had arrived to witness the unexpected showdown between the legendary Vespidian flagship and the upstart human vessel. Admiral Tuck stood confidently on the bridge of the Eternal Sting. His exoskeleton gleamed under the lights, polished for what he expected would be his moment of triumph. 6 centuries of Vespidian military dominance would be confirmed today. "Combat systems ready, Admiral," his weapons officer reported. "Excellent," Tuck replied. "The humans have shown creativity. I'll grant them that. But combat is about power and experience. We have both." The rules were simple. Each ship would use weapon systems set to simulation mode. The energy signatures would register as hits on enemy systems without causing actual damage. The first ship to achieve what would be a disabling blow in real combat would win. On the Thunderchild, Captain Hae-Yoon addressed her crew one last time before battle. "The Vespidians expect us to follow conventional tactics," she said. "They've never lost a combat simulation because they've mastered every standard approach. So we won't be standard." She turned to Tactical Officer Jai-Ho. "Are the modifications ready?" Jai-Ho nodded. "Yes, Captain. The energy collection system is online. Engineering says it's untested at full capacity, but the simulations look promising." "It'll work," said Engineer Do-hyun confidently. "Earth ships have always been built to take punishment and keep going." The countdown began. Spectators held their breath as both ships moved into starting positions. Even the council representatives, normally formal and reserved, leaned forward in anticipation. "Begin," announced Overseer Growl. The Eternal Sting moved immediately, firing a spread of simulated torpedoes that forced the Thunderchild to take evasive action. The human vessel responded with a series of quick, darting movements that seemed erratic. "Curious approach," muttered Admiral Tuck. "They're not maintaining a defensive posture." The Vespidian ship pressed its advantage, landing several direct hits on the Thunderchild's outer hull. The simulation markers showed significant damage to the human vessel's weapon systems and engines. "Their shield configuration is all wrong," one of Tuck's officers observed. "They're leaving critical systems exposed." Tuck narrowed his compound eyes. Something felt off. The humans had proven themselves cunning in previous challenges. Why would they make such basic errors now? On the Thunderchild, warning lights flashed as simulated hits registered across multiple systems. The bridge crew remained calm despite the apparent damage. "Taking fire on sections 3 through 7, reported First Officer Minnow. "Simulated engine power down to 60%. Hayum nodded. "Maintain course. Let them think they've got us." The Vespidian ship pressed forward, landing more direct hits. By all standard metrics, the Thunderchild was nearly disabled. "One more good strike, and they're finished," Tuck told his crew. "Target their command center." The Eternal Sting fired its main weapons array, landing a direct hit on the Thunderchild's bridge section. A cheer went up from the Vespidian crew. That's when everything changed. The Thunderchild's hull began to glow with a strange blue-white energy. Every hit it had taken seemed to feed into some previously unknown system. "What's happening?" demanded Admiral Tuck. "Scan that energy signature." Before his crew could respond, the Thunderchild suddenly accelerated toward the Eternal Sting. The human vessel moved in ways that should have been impossible for a ship taking such damage. "They were absorbing our attacks," gasped Tuck's science officer. "Converting weapons energy into power." Inside the Thunderchild, Jeho's fingers flew across his tactical console. "Energy collection at maximum capacity, Captain. Ready to deploy countermeasure. Target their weapons and propulsion systems only," Hayun ordered. "Leave life support and crew quarters untouched." The human vessel released a precisely calibrated energy wave that washed over the Eternal Sting. When it cleared, the simulation showed the Vespidian ship's weapons, engines, and shield generators completely disabled, while crew areas remained untouched. In a real battle, the Eternal Sting would have been helpless, but its crew would have survived. Silence fell across the combat arena. Then Overseer Grell's voice came through all channels. "The challenge is complete. Victory to the UES Thunderchild of Earth." Admiral Tuck stood frozen on his bridge. In 600 years, no one had developed a tactic he couldn't counter. Until now. "Captain," said Communications Officer Sunmei on the Thunderchild, "we're receiving thousands of message requests from observer vessels." Hayun smiled. "Tell them we'll be happy to discuss our approach after the formal ceremony." As the two ships powered down their combat systems, the galaxy had witnessed something unprecedented. Not just a human victory, but a new approach to space combat that valued precision over destruction and protection of life above all else. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council gleamed with light reflected from 1,000 different worlds. Crystal chandeliers hung from ceilings so high they disappeared into shadow. Delegates from across the galaxy filled the room, their bodies representing every possible form life could take among the stars. Captain Hayun stood at the center of it all, her blue uniform freshly pressed for the ceremony. Behind her, the crew of the Thunderchild stood at attention. Engineer Du-hyun, Tactical Officer Jai-ho, Communications Officer Sun-mei, and Science Officer Ta-won formed a line of proud human representatives. The Champion's Laurel, a crown made from metals contributed by every council member species, gleamed on a cushion held by Overseer Grell. For the first time in 80 years, Grell announced, his voice carrying through the vast chamber, "We witness a new champion of the trial of 7 scenarios." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some delegates leaned forward eagerly. Others, particularly those aligned with the Vespidian Imperium, maintained rigid postures of disapproval. "Captain Hayun of Earth," continued Grell, "step forward to receive the honor your vessel has earned." Hayun moved forward, her steps measured and calm. As she passed the Vespidian delegation, she noticed Admiral Tuck standing stiffly, his compound eyes fixed straight ahead. The Admiral had not spoken publicly since his defeat. Overseer Grell lifted the metal crown. By the ancient traditions of the Galactic Council, I name the UES Thunderchild champion of the trial. May your innovation bring light to the galaxy. As the crown was placed upon her head, He-Yun felt its weight, not just physical, but symbolic. Earth had arrived on the galactic stage, not just as a new species, but as a leader. The council chamber erupted in applause, most genuine, some merely polite. Protocol dictated that He-Yun should now return to her crew and exit with the honor guard. Instead, she turned and walked directly toward Admiral Tuck. The chamber fell silent. Every eye, antenna, and sensory organ focused on the human captain approaching the defeated Vespidian admiral. Some delegates tensed, wondering if this would become a moment of human gloating or worse. He-Yun stopped before Tuck and extended her hand. The human gesture of respect and partnership. "Admiral," she said clearly, "the Thunderchild learned much from studying the Eternal Sting's accomplishments. Your 6 centuries of excellence pushed us to be better." Tuck's antennae twitched in surprise. After a moment's hesitation, he extended his upper right claw and carefully clasped He-Yun's hand. "You fought unconventionally," he said, the words seeming difficult. "Humans often do," He-Yun replied with a small smile. She turned to face the assembled council, her voice strong and clear. "We didn't build the Thunderchild to dominate," she told them, "but to protect. Earth has survived thousands of wars, natural disasters, and near-extinction events. We've learned that survival doesn't come from superiority, but from adaptation and cooperation." Science Officer Taiwan stepped forward from the human line, carrying a small crystal data cube. "With the Council's permission," he said, "Earth would like to propose the establishment of joint engineering academies throughout the galaxy." Gasps echoed through the chamber. Technology sharing at this level was unheard of, especially from a new species who had just demonstrated such advanced capabilities. These academies would combine human innovation with the deep knowledge of established galactic civilizations. Taiwan continued. "Together, we can create ships and technologies that serve all our people better." Overseer Growl's 6 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of astonishment in his species. "You would share the very technologies that gave you victory." "Victory means little if it doesn't improve life for everyone," He-Yun answered. "Earth joined the galactic community to be part of something greater than ourselves." Admiral Tuck stepped forward, his voice carrying across the chamber. "The Vespidian Imperium will participate in these academies." He looked at He-Yun. "We have much to teach each other, it seems." As word spread of the human offer, the atmosphere in the council chamber transformed. Species that had watched the trial with suspicion now approached the human delegation with questions and offers of cooperation. The Thunderchild, which had arrived as an oddity, was now the center of scientific interest from across the galaxy. Later, as He-Yun and her crew prepared to return to their ship, Overseer Growl approached her privately. "In 10,000 years of council history," he said quietly, "I have never seen a species win such a victory, and then immediately offer to share what made them victorious. You have changed things, Captain. The galaxy will not be the same." He-Yun looked out at the stars visible through the council chamber's grand windows. "Change is what humans do best," she said. "We look forward to changing together." As the Thunderchild departed the next day, thousands of ships from across the galaxy formed an honor guard, not just for a vessel that had won a contest, but for the beginning of a new era where human innovation and alien wisdom would combine to create something greater than either could achieve alone. The end.